From the Casey State Bank Digital First Studio at WTWO, this is the Goin to the Hoop podcast. Sponsored by Terre Haute Chevrolet, Indiana State University, and Kirshner Building Centers.
Welcome to our Going to the Hoop podcast. It is March, the most magical month for high school basketball in the great state of Indiana, with Jack Burney and Nicole Christine. I'm Grant Pugh. Happy to have you along this week's show, guys. Welcome to sectional month. It's our favorite time of the year.
It's March.
It's March.
We've been talking about
best
it.
time
Now
of the
it's
year,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The whole high school basketball season has been leading up to this. We've been kind of leading up to this. Sectionals are already underway across the state of Indiana. We saw Terre Haute South, Northview, and South Knox, among other teams, get a big win to start sectional play on Tuesday night. I want to touch on Terre Haute South first, guys. Maynard Lewis, Hall of Famer, Terre Haute South head coach, Purdue alum. He's our special guest on this week's show. He's going to join us in our next block. But how important is it, you think, to kind of get that first game under your belt and to start rolling towards sectionals?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, they get a game down on that floor. You know, they're playing Plainfield. That's their home gym. So, I mean, just getting a game there, getting used to playing there is a big thing. And what a confidence-boosting win for South last night. You know, down 12, down 14, down 9 going into the fourth quarter. They're able to come back. Got a lot of great contributions from a number of different players last night. So their confidence is going to be up. You know, they played Plainfield a couple weeks ago and beat them. But, you know, it's obviously hard to beat a team in sectionals on their home floor. So, but I think it's important, like you said, to get that first win in. You know, first win for South in sectionals since 2018. So I think their confidence is going to be high going into Friday.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Braves, from what I've seen of them this season, they aren't necessarily the type to just get tired and then just, hey, we've already played a game, we're going to be tired after this. Like, I think when we were talking to Maynard, I used the word like juice. They've really got that. You know, they've got that energy, and you could feel it from a lot of their players. And I think, you know, seeing McNeil foul out against Plainfield, against Avon, you know, if he's able to stay out of foul trouble against, you know, Plainfield, that'll be better for them too. So I think that they were better off. I agree. You know, with having that game under their belt and getting that first win. I would say the same thing about Northview. The Knights, you know, playing really well and getting that win under their belt to be able to say, okay, we're heading into this we're 1-0 in sectionals this year so far, and, you know, being able to say that is huge.
Northview hosting their own sectional is a big help, but as you said, to play that game last night,
yeah.
I was speaking with Coach Byron a little after the game. That game was a 2-point, 3-point, 4-point game at halftime. The defense was not what he wanted it to be. They come out in the second half. I think Owen Valley only scored 8 points in the third quarter. I mean, Northview got the lead up to 19 at one point. They, of course, get the big win. It's helping your confidence, especially if guys. I mean, Drew Cook's been there a while. Romke's been there. But other guys, Braden Goff is young. So it kind of, as you said, Jack, gives you a confidence boost to kind of start this state tourney where everyone's kind of on eggshells to start. You know?
It doesn't have to be as scary anymore
Absolutely.
for some of those
Confidence
lower guys.
is huge because anything can happen. Any team can beat any other team. And so if you get, like you said, if that confidence is up there, you start to believe, okay, we can win this next game. We can make a run when maybe nobody else is expecting us to.
Yeah.
How exciting are you to get your first taste of sectionals in the state of Indiana? You know,
it's gonna be great. I mean, I've covered some high school basketball the last couple of weeks. Obviously, regular season's still very fun. I was impressed with how much the fans were into it then, but sectionals is, you know, I've heard about sectionals all month long since I started here, and I'm very excited, you know, get in the mix, see some competitive basketball, and it's because the players and the coaches and the fans, they care so much, and they care so much in this state, and so I'm excited to experience that for sure.
Can't wait to see what happens. We're not sure exactly who all is going to play Friday night. It'll be semifinals, sectional championship night on Saturday. Teams will cut down the nets. Can't wait to see what happens. But one of the big games we're going to talk about on Friday, we know we're going to get a Bar Reeve-Lagodi rematch. Lagodi beat Bar Reeve earlier this season. That's two rivals.
Right.
It should be a lot of fun, you know, the sectional down at Lagodi.
Oh, yeah, and I think that when we were talking last week on the podcast, I kind of had whatever team wins this game, this matchup, I could see winning the entire sectional. I think that other than Orleans, like, they're really the strongest teams down there, and so it kind of is sad that you can't see a matchup like that in the championship game and have to see it earlier in the week, but I do think that the crowds are going to be loud. It's going to be that great atmosphere that you're looking for. Two really historic teams there that are hungry. You know, neither one has had an incredible season. They both had decent seasons. But this is when, like you said, it's all kind of level playing field now. You know, you're playing and you're starting over again. So it doesn't matter what games you've lost, what games you've won. It all matters now. So I'm excited for that matchup too.
Like you said, two rivals, you know, rematch. You
Yeah.
know, it's harder to – I think the games – when two teams played each other in the regular season, they meet in the tournament. I think those games are like really competitive because you know the ins and outs of the other team, and obviously these two teams being rivals, like we said, historic matchup there. It's gonna be fun.
Speaking of Northview, they're going to get a rematch with Indian Creek on Friday night. They lost to them earlier this season, but Friday night, round 2, and the winner keeps their season alive and advances to the sectional championship on Saturday.
It's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. So, I mean, I think that's an advantage for Northview, and they're playing on their home floor. So, yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Can't wait to see what happens there. Hats off to South Knox. Dakota Candler, Player of the Week for IBCA. The South Knox Spartans open sectionals with a big win over Sullivan on Tuesday night as they march on to semifinals on Friday. They might have a showdown with Linton coming on Saturday night in the sectional championship. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but it's a loaded North Knox sectional, as we've touched on.
Oh, yeah, and I think that Linton, they're not – we talked last week to Coach when he came on the podcast. They're not overlooking Paoli for sure. They're a really strong team, and I think that if they get past Paoli, getting South Knox, that would be a really cool matchup for a lot of local schools. But I think overall, Linton, a lot of people think they're the ones to beat, right? But I do think that South Knox starting off strong against Sullivan and going into that momentum with that confidence that we've been talking about, you can't underestimate that. But yeah, definitely we've got several stacked sectionals. We talked about it last week, and it's just been so much fun to cover them this season, and now the stakes are a lot higher, so.
Win or go home. We can't wait to see what happens. You can, of course, catch all the action on Going to the Hoop Friday and Saturday at 11 right here on WTWO. Hey, we are just getting rolling on our Going to the Hoop podcast. Coming up next, Maynard Lewis of the Terre Haute South Braves join us after their big win against Avon. We're back with more podcast right after this. Welcome back to our Going to the Hoop podcast. He is the head coach of the Terre Haute South Braves, the Terre Haute South Braves team that picked up their first sectional win since 2018 against Avon on Tuesday night. We are happy to be joined on this week's show by head coach Maynard Lewis. Coach Lewis, welcome to our Going to the Hoop podcast.
Thank you for having me, Grant. Certainly a pleasure to be here with you and all of your colleagues. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to speaking.
Always love to talk some basketball. We appreciate you taking time to join us on what is one of our favorite weeks, sectional week. You know what sectionals mean to so many people around the state of Indiana. How special was it to not only to participate in sectionals, but to get that first sectional win in quite some time for your Terre Haute South team?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite an honor just to be a head coach here in the state of Indiana. Everybody knows that there's no other state that just does it like Indiana, especially around sectional time. So being able to play in such a great tradition around the state. Obviously, we had Avon last night. It was a great win for us and our program. So the kids are really excited, anything can happen in Indiana yesterday. And who would ever thought that when you're 12 down, 14 down in the third quarter, you can make a run. And like I said, that's the best part about it is you can never count any team out at any point in time. You got to play to the buzzer.
And you mentioned that the guys are excited, and that's something that you don't see from every team when it gets this late into the season. You see some teams that are like, almost ready to hang it up because they're so tired. But the one thing you can never say about South is that they're going to act like that. I mean, these guys have some juice for sure. So how do you keep that going into March now, when you are playing so many games, and these are young men who have other things that they're doing too, but, keep them that excited about what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a great question, and a lot of people don't understand. It's a long year.
Right.
I mean, we started in November and end in March, so you got to keep it fun and exciting, and kind of keep the guys motivated and wanting to get better. I mean, obviously, we had a really good year. We had a lot of good wins, but we also certainly had some losses, and I'm really proud of the group because they took the losses and really learned from them. We kind of tried to teach them, okay, we could have done this a little bit better, and we kind of seen the fruits of that labor last night when we were down 12. And, when Avon went on a 17-0 run, there was really nothing we could do. We contested every shot, but guys didn't panic. We stayed together. We stayed unified. We didn't come down just jacking on offense. We moved the ball and, got our shots, and ultimately it's a game of runs. Avon had their run in the third quarter, and ultimately we were able to counter that in the fourth.
You were just talking about it a little bit, but, down 14, down 9 going into the fourth quarter. Just talk about the fight in your team and, the confidence that gives you not only going into the next round, but going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the identity of this team. Certainly we've allowed our fair share of double-digit leads, especially in the second half. We got to figure out a way to come out a little bit better after halftime. But, we dug ourselves a hole. Unfortunately, like I said, it wasn't the first time, but we never panicked. And, guys, we got a bunch of fighters on this team from 1 through 12, and these guys really enjoy each other. The camaraderie is really good, and I think – when that is, certainly clicking, and guys want to fight for not only each other, it just, snowballs into a positive situation, especially when we're all unified and we all want to meet one common goal, and that's to win the ball game.
You knew you had a lot of talent coming back to this year's team. Was there a turning point for this year's team? I mean, you got the big win against North in the Classic. You hung with Linton, who's a great team in the first half. Was there a turning point for you when you saw this team kind of, okay, they put it together, that this team can make a run in a sectional?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you look at it through the course of a couple years, I mean, we knew we had building blocks. Obviously, being in this profession, not a lot of people have patience, right? So,
Sure.
But we knew we had an opportunity. It's just a matter of the sophomore class, how quickly they can get developed. And they certainly exceeded, my expectations, and certainly going to have a strong future there, along with seniors Nas McNeil and Jude. Certainly have a strong candidate in Xavier Baker, who had a phenomenal game last night too. So you put all that in the mix. Certainly you have a good, strong foundation. You look at the camaraderie of our team this year. Certainly that helps as well. And so, it's no surprise that we were able to get the W last night. And, we're looking forward to taking on Plainfield this weekend.
Yeah, what are some keys to that Plainfield matchup? We were talking before we started recording that, it is going to be a big matchup, and this is really that time of year where you guys get to go to these bigger, towns, bigger schools, and really show what Terre Haute's made of, you and North. And so what are going to be the keys to a successful matchup against Plainfield?
Yeah, certainly it doesn't help that we played them one time. It's a little tough, beating teams twice in a row. But, they're a well-coached, fundamental team. They're not just one-dimensional. They have an array of scores that can probably go for 20 points at any point in time. So, each person, and tell our guys today, you got to, contest each and every shot. You got to make it tough on them. You got to, stick to Terre Haute South basketball and, not allow your man to go past you. It only creates problems for the other. And they do a great job of trying to exploit that. So key points is we got to contest every shot. We got to play defense. That's where it starts at. And we got to, limit them to one shot. We got to box out.
I think it's interesting. You said, you saw him before earlier this season, but you don't think that helps you. Is there anything from that first game that you think you can take going into this game plan in this sectional matchup?
Well, yeah, I think, we looked at film early this morning, looked at it a little bit last night, and certainly there's some things in that first game that we got to do a little bit different. We got to defend the UCLA cut a little bit better. We got to box out a little bit better. They got a lot of second chance points and beat us in the paint. Shot 60-some% from the field just inside the 2-point area. So we got to, counter that and, do something to lower that percentage. a little bit better because, we allow them to get points in the paint. It's going to be a long night, and we can't have that.
Is there a better time of the year to be a high school basketball coach? I mean, in the state of Indiana, it's different here. We all know that, but I mean, this is an exciting week for everyone. This is what you wait for. Like you said, season starts in November. Really, before that, with conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
What an opportunity for your team coming up this weekend.
Yeah, what an opportunity. Every moment, every open gym, every shot, every weightlifting session that we start, in April has basically, been in preparation for this moment. A lot of people put a lot of weight on the losses during the season, and sometimes everybody wants to win and I want to win every game. Don't take that the wrong way, but sometimes a loss, learning a hard lesson from a loss is good during the portion of the season because it makes you stronger. It was no secret. You can look at Avon's record. I mean, obviously 9 and 13 before last night, but you look at the quality of teams that they played. We knew they were a very good team. If they played the same schedule as us and such as other surrounding schools, it's a much different thing. So we knew they were strong. We knew they were athletic. And we knew it was going to come down to 1 or 2 possessions at the very end. In terms of, playing at this time of the year, this is the best part. As I said, you're preparing for this moment. So it's like you prepare for this big test, and now it's time to, take the test and kind of see how you do. And certainly we got through the first portion of the exam yesterday, but we have another test on Friday in the host in Plainfield. So good opportunity for us.
And I know Plainfield is the first thing on your mind, right? But, we would personally love to see a North-South championship in the sectional.
Absolutely.
If it were to come to that, I know you and Wolfley have a lot of respect, a lot of love for each other. What would that mean for Terre Haute, as a community, to be able to travel out of town and go root on their 2 teams? We're hoping that it comes down to that.
Yeah, okay. I'll play along with you, right? Hypothetical. No, I mean, from ideal situation, right? I think it'd be fun. I think if that were to ever happen, I would love to see the whole town just migrate over to Plainfield. But in all fairness, right, we got a tough Plainfield team,
Sure.
and
Right.
North has
Absolutely.
a tough Brownsburg team. So enough of the hypotheticals.
Yeah.
We got to come to reality and know that we both have tough matchups. And I
Yeah.
know Coach Wolfley, he's focused on Brownsburg,
Oh, yeah.
and certainly we show no disrespect to Plainfield because they're well coached. Coach Weaver's going to have them ready. Their team was up, watching the game against us and Avon last night. So it's going to be a tough
Yeah,
matchup.
it's a
So we
loaded
have our hands
sectional.
full.
Yeah, it's a loaded sectional for sure.
So if we show that whole segment,
Yes.
make sure we
Yes.
show the whole.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
You mentioned Xavier Baker's performance last night, 27 points. Just, what makes him such a special player, and what do you think? Were you surprised by that performance at all, or is that something you've grown accustomed to coaching him?
No, I think Xavier has really developed himself into a really good player. When you see kind of the work ethic that Xavier does, he was disappointed. Even as a coach, I was feel like we didn't come out, particularly his performance at the Southport game. And he'll tell you it's no secret, right? He didn't have his best performance, but how he reacted to that is kind of a coach's dream. Really disappointed. Get text message, Coach, I'm going to do better. He's, certainly got his personal trainer and his dad who does a phenomenal job in the gym the next morning getting shots up. And how, you handle adversity, that's what you try to see, love to see in kids like that. And for him to come out and kind of make up for the Southport game and have a phenomenal game last night, when we were in a position, right, when, one of our starters, Nas McNeil, who's been a strong contributor throughout the year, fouled out with a little over 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's huge. And certainly Zay stepped up, within the team concept, right? There's a lot more to our team than Zay, but certainly, he had his moment last night, and we're certainly proud of him.
You've coached Terre Haute South for quite some time now. Does anything surprise you as a head coach anymore? I'm sure things can, but I mean, you've kind of led the South team. You've been a part of high school basketball, almost your entire life. Does anything still surprise you as a coach? Off the court, on the court, anything?
I'll say as a sports fan, nothing really surprises
Sure.
me. Anything can happen on any given day. I don't take any team lightly, as well as, any coach in this profession doesn't take any team lightly. There's always strengths and weaknesses of each team, and you always wonder how your team's going to come out and play. So, but that's the best part. That's the, unfortunately, I've been on both sides where I've had success, and I've been on the other side where, teams have hit the last second shot, and it's no fun. You kind of think of things, that you could have done better. But, we live in a great country, right, where we're, free and, have all types of sports. And, sports has its place. It teaches you a lot, and certainly, gives you like I said, success. And there's certain heartaches out, about it, but it's still a good sport. And it's fun to be in this type of atmosphere here in Indiana in March.
Yeah, and March, not the only thing you're focusing on, I'm sure, first of all, is your team and getting them through, but you're also going to be celebrating a Hall of Fame. You're going to be a Hall of Famer this month. I know it's not about you, Coach. I know it's not
it's
about
your team, for sure.
But, you're focusing on your guys and getting them as far into March, hopefully to the last weekend of March as you can. But thinking a little bit about this accomplishment of your own, how are you able to instill a Hall of Fame career that you had into these young guys and get them to care about this sport like you obviously do?
Yeah, certainly. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about, my mentors and Coach Pat Rady, right, who's a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
So it's great to be around other successful people. Certainly, and we talk about the Indiana atmosphere and just Indiana basketball and the history it has. It's certainly an honor to be a part of that, the 25th Silver Anniversary team, but also on a night where guys who I looked up to and went to South games in Brian Evans, right, getting inducted the same night. So it's going to be an honor. That whole class, is going to be there. It's going to be fun, and certainly it took a village for me to get there. It's just not about me. I had help from a lot of people. This community's been great and very supportive, especially during, the years that I was playing. I had a lot of support, and certainly this is a reflection of a community I'm just, representing going in, but certainly I didn't do it by myself.
Coach, we ask all our guests this. You got a big game day coming up Friday. Are there any game day traditions you have? Any pregame meals, pregame songs that get you hyped for the game? Get ready to coach.
I'm pretty relaxed, and it's funny you asked that because obviously we have coaching attire, and I'm I don't want to say superstitious, right? But when we get on a winning streak, you'll see us in the white top, the black pants, and I'll be in my white Jordans. So that's just something unique about me. When we, like I said, get on a winning streak, I get a little superstitious, and I just want to do things the same as most head coaches do, if they'll tell you. So.
We have to. I mean, you're busy high school basketball, but you get a chance to watch college basketball in your downtown. We have to ask you about Purdue. Could this be the year, Coach? Certainly, that Purdue makes a run in the NCAA tournament. Certainly, they've got big aspirations ahead still with the Big Ten tourney and such.
Absolutely. I mean, who would have thought? We weren't even ranked in the top 25 at the beginning of the year, and we were able, to hold the number one spot, I believe, for 7 weeks. And we haven't dropped much even after the 2 losses. We're down to number 5. So I got a lot of, obviously I'm a little biased, but certainly I got a lot of support for Purdue as well as Coach Painter. I think he's a phenomenal coach and phenomenal recruiter. And certainly I believe that we can get to Houston. And I think, yes, I do think that this could be the year. No, I'm not concerned. I mean, it's, obviously people, kind of found out the formula a little bit of kind of, defending Edey or I say containing because I'm not sure if you can really defend him. But and I know Painter's, he keeps the guys going and keeps them motivated. And that's, as a coaching people, that's, one of the guys to really look up to and kind of see, okay, what can we do to kind of mirror his program because he's a phenomenal coach, a phenomenal person.
We had to keep you and Nicole separated here with the IU Purdue, but it's always good to have.
I also like Matt Painter. I'll give Matt Painter some love.
Right.
You can't not.
No, absolutely.
And I'll say, play devil's advocate. When you've been growing up in Indiana basketball, right, we are at our best as a state when Indiana, Notre Dame, Butler, they're all competitive, right? Nobody, I mean, it's as much as I would love to beat Indiana by 100, and that probably still wouldn't be good enough. It's good. It's good to see Indiana having some success, right? And it's good to know that Indiana's going to go to the tournament. Purdue's going to go to the tournament. And it's going to be fun following these teams and kind of, seeing their success. And I think, give Indiana credit, right? They showed how really good they can be. It could be fun. Who knows? Indiana Purdue could meet up in the Final Four, and that would be great.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that's like the North-South thing. Though we're not going to talk about that yet.
Yeah,
We
well-
got a lot of
Yes.
good matchups in the time being. So
Yes. How hard is that? We talked a little before this started about ISU. Yeah, certainly a guy Cooper Neese, doesn't want his college career to end. Sycamores are heading to St. Louis for Arch Madness, trying to win 4 games in 4 days. But Sycamores can be done. They've been in every game this year. How tough? You just certainly just have to kind of take it one game at a time if you're Coach Schertz and ISU.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when we talk about IU, Purdue, Indiana State, the success they're having, it gets the community really going.
Sure.
People are talking about it on Facebook and other social media platforms, and it just makes it fun. Everyone's, let's go to the South game, let's go to the North game, let's go to the ISU game, let's go to the West Vigo game, and the support that we have in our community is just been phenomenal. And I wish Coach Schertz nothing but success. He's certainly been helpful, allowing me to come in and watch his practices and just being able to learn. And they've been fun to watch this year. They've been in a lot of close games. And if I'm a coach for an opposing team against ISU, I'm a little concerned because you look at their schedule, you look at how hard they fight, you look at how hard they play during the course of a game. They were in pretty much every game, and just maybe, how many teams have, unfortunately, right? We all been there, right? Where the lid just gets put on the bucket and we're up 19,
Sure.
on the road, and you're like, okay, how did that happen?
Right.
But still, they were in that position, to win, and that's all you can ask from your players. And again, you learn from those losses, and I think they're dangerous. They are very dangerous.
Can't wait to see what happens there. We ask you a ton of questions. I know I've asked you a ton of questions over the years. We're going to open the table to you. Now's your chance to ask us anything you want to ask. This is free reign here on the podcast, Coach, so you can ask us anything.
Oh, my gosh,
normally we're
put
putting
me on the spot.
but it can be anything, though. We're basketball related, but it's anything. It doesn't have to be basketball related. We like to have some fun with our podcast when we bring our guests in.
Oh, absolutely. No, first off, let me say I appreciate, WTWO's, media promotion of all high school basketball sports. You guys are phenomenal, in the coverage, and, we certainly enjoy the Friday night.
Going to the hoop.
Going to
That's
the
right.
hoop.
Thanks, you
So, would love to come on that show, in the
Yes.
future. If you guys will have me.
Right.
I'm
Well,
sitting here invite myself. But
Sure. I was going to touch on that. You said the last time you were in our building, how long has it been? It's been a while.
oh, gosh, I think Jason Pinsky was here.
Yeah, so the OG.
That's been a while. I want to say since I was in high school.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay. We won't date you. So about 10 years ago, Coach.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
10
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So how long have you guys? Well, I know you're a Tennessee football fan, ISU football fan. I guess. Let me ask IU and.
I'm a Buckeye fan. I'm a Buckeye fan. I'm from
Oh,
Ohio,
it's
so-
easy to root for.
Yeah.
Buckeyes.
he's
They're
been
like
quiet
the-
over there, but
Yeah, he's
a
quiet.
Buckeye fan. Yeah.
Kent State.
Okay.
Jack's from Kent State.
Yeah, Kent State fan
State.
first, since that's where I
Sure.
went. But
Yeah.
I'm also a Buckeye at heart. Yeah.
Okay.
It makes it a lot of fun. Like you said, sports is kind of the melting pot. Same with
Oh,
our
yeah.
station. You have people all coming together to put an ultimate goal together, which is to do the Going to the Hoop show or the Going to the Hoop podcast. So your job makes our job a lot easier, Coach. Thanks for coming in this week.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Are you going to sing Rocky Top for us today?
I mean, hey, you never know. If they make it to the Final Four, I definitely I will sing Rocky Top for you. How about
We'll
that?
get it on air somehow. Yeah.
Coach was loving it during football season because he would just call me Rocky Top. I'd see him in a basketball
great.
game or a
That's
football
great.
game.
Yeah,
So
Grant was happy this year.
yeah,
quite
never a
bit.
bad thing. The Vols did win on senior night last night with Tyreek Key, former Sycamore.
Yeah,
so that's not a bad.
That's awesome to see. Like him
Yeah,
having
it's-
success down there. At one point, I believe he was starting. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's good for him and the Tennessee program. I was happy to see that.
Great to be a Vol fan always. And Coach, thanks for stopping by this week on a busy week. Best of luck against Plainfield Friday. We hope you're playing Saturday night too.
All right, no, thanks for having me. Appreciate you all. So
Thanks,
thank you.
Coach.
He is Coach Maynard Lewis with the Terre Haute South Braves. We are back with more Going to the Hoop podcast right after this. Welcome back to our Going to the Hoop podcast. Special thanks to Coach Lewis for coming out and joining us on what is a busy sectional week with sectionals. Catch South in action on Friday at Plainfield, a big one against Plainfield. Hey, we're talking college basketball now as we close out our show this week. First off, IU Purdue. I mean, what a night for Jalen Hood-Schifino as the Hoosiers go on the road. First time ever Coach Woodson has won at Purdue, either as a player or a coach. An impressive night for Coach Woodson and the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch as an alum, and just as a basketball fan, it was another great game. You know, Purdue, IU, both of the games this year have been really fun to watch. Obviously, I was happy with both of the outcomes as an alum, but I will say that, you know, Jalen Hood-Schifino, we've been talking a lot about how his draft prospects, you know, have been fluctuating a little bit this season, and then you see him have a game like that and you're like, okay, he's probably not coming back next year. You know, you've got Trace, obviously he announced that he wasn't coming back. IU fans really knew that was coming, but you know, now not really expecting to see Jalen back again next year. It would be a good surprise, but especially after a performance like that at Mackey, really showing what he's worth there. And you know, I'm going to say IU Purdue worked out in our favor this year, but then you go and lay an egg like you did against Iowa, you know, the other night. So we can't gloss over that, you know, and that's been IU consistency has been a thing this season. And the Big Ten is good. I mean, there's a lot of good teams, and, you know, it doesn't really matter home court advantage as much in the Big Ten. We've seen that so much this year. And so even though Assembly Hall, it's hard to play there, it's loud. We do have that great home crowd. You know, if you're not on point, it doesn't matter. And so we saw that against Iowa, and we've seen that against other teams, obviously, at Assembly. So Michigan up next, and then just
Sunday.
getting ready for that Big Ten tourney and finding out where the Hoosiers fall, where the Boilermakers fall, because obviously, you know, they've got a couple matchups too. But as an out-of-state guy, Jack, what have you been thinking about the Hoosiers and Boilermakers this season?
Yeah, I think they're both very talented teams. I think they both had the potential to make a run in March Madness. And that game the other night, I think Purdue, you know, played very well in the first half, and then it was just, like you said, Jalen Hood-Schifino took over. And I think he's going to be a lottery pick, probably a top 15 pick in the NBA draft. I think he's got that talent. And his game kind of just the type of guard he is translates very well to the NBA. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave, like you guys said. But I think his performance was probably one of the best individual performances all year in college basketball. Like you said, at Purdue, haven't won there in 7 tries, you know, haven't swept Purdue in 10 years. And he goes in there, scores the career high, and they beat Purdue. I think that was a good performance. But I think both teams are in a good position to make a run come March Madness. I think both of them will probably be a top 4 seed. I think Purdue's probably going to be a 1 or 2, and IU I think will be a 4 seed. So I think they both got a chance to do something pretty special, and you know, but they got to finish strong because you want to be peaking at the right time.
Right.
Yeah, the good thing about IU, you don't have to worry like they had to worry last year about trying to, you know, last year IU had to win a couple games in the Big Ten tourney to get in the play-in game. Then, of course, they get St. Mary's. This year, certainly, it's tough for IU. You know, preseason Big Ten favorites. They're still going to have a good seed in the tourney. Same for Purdue. If Purdue doesn't stump their toe, they're probably still going to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. So that should make for a lot of fun. And who knows, they could meet in the NCAA tournament. The NCAA has an odd sense of humor sometimes when it comes to things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you put IU and Purdue in the same bracket.
I had a question that was asked of me the other day, and I want to ask you guys this too. So I was asked, you know, in the situation with IU and Purdue, would you rather have IU beat Purdue twice like they did, sweep them, or would you rather have IU win the Big Ten regular season? I said easy, beat your rival twice. I don't care about the Big Ten during the regular season. I'd rather win the Big Ten tournament. Like, I care, and I know it's easy to say when it's not you that, but what do you guys think about that with your teams? Like, I'd much rather do what we did, not be the Big Ten leaders regular season, but still have a chance to win the Big Ten tourney, and we have those bragging rights.
Since it's regular season, I agree with you. Like, for football this year, obviously I'm an Ohio State football fan, so when they lost to Michigan but then had a chance to beat Georgia, I was like, I'd rather win the national championship.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But that's obviously the playoffs. So in this case, if I'm Purdue, I'd rather go further in the NCAA tournament than IU, but I don't really care about a Big Ten regular season title as much.
No, you want to. If you're Purdue now, you're like, okay, we lost to IU twice. We want to make a Final Four now. IU, the same thing. Okay, we beat Purdue twice. We know what we can do. Let's make a Final Four run here because that's what it's about at both of these schools.
Yep.
It's tough because you want to be peaking at the right time. And speaking of peaking at the right time, Indiana State now, they head to St. Louis. They're the 5 seed. They had a chance to be the top 3 seed to get a bye. Now they're going to have to play Thursday, going to have to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday if they want to make it to March Madness. we've talked pros and cons, but how, is it better to play a game on Thursday, you think, Jack? Coach Schertz kind of talked about that.
Yes, Coach Schertz talked about it after the game, and he said, if I was given the choice between being 5 and 4, I'd rather be 5 because, you get to play on that court in front of all those fans, Arch Madness, this whole thing. And Belmont's going to be practicing at some college, not on the court they're going to be playing on if ISU is fortunate enough to beat Evansville. So I think it's good that ISU gets that first game, like you said, coming off 2 losses in the regular season, 2 losses that I think they probably feel that they should have won both of those games. Mm-hmm. I think, having this game against Evansville, an opportunity to, get back on the right track, get the confidence up like we were saying with the high school kids, getting that first game under your belt, getting that confidence up, and then playing Belmont again in the next round, who you just were up by 19 at halftime, and then you lose by 1 on a heartbreaker, controversial foul, no foul at the end there. So I think it's good for ISU to be the 5 seed, and I think they have the talent, they have the depth to, win 4 games in 4 days. I know it hasn't been done, but I think this is a team that is capable of doing that.
Yeah, and I think that going off of what you said just about the fact that Belmont, they know they can beat Belmont. I feel like they've got that fire in their bellies that they're like, we should have beat them. We can beat them. And I know that just from, knowing how Schertz operates and knowing how those guys operate, like they want to get past Evansville. Hopefully they can. I know they aren't overlooking them, but Evansville not as much of a competitor, of course, as Belmont. And so I think they are hungry for that Belmont rematch. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come out on their A game if they get to that game and make it to the 3rd day.
Yeah, and Cam Henry after the game on Sunday said he wanted to see everybody they lost to in the tournament. And I think that kind of goes with what you're saying. Revenge They're very motivated. Tour, revenge tour type thing. And I think I'm not worried about ISU's motivation. I think they're going to be ready to play in every game that they do get to play in St. Louis.
6 seniors that had a bad taste in their mouth, certainly after they lost at home to Missouri State on Sunday. You assume one of those seniors, Gavassi McCauley, is probably going to be the Valley Newcomer of the Year in the league. Led the Sycamores in scoring. Can't wait to see what happens in St. Louis. Can't wait to see with sectionals this weekend and, of course, college basketball as we march towards March Madness. Hey, for Nicole and Jack, our director Luke, Coach Lewis, thanks for watching our Going to the Hoop podcast this week. We will see you next week for more basketball fun.